Peace, love, and light, family. Sister Toffee here, creator of kmsc.online, where we talk about the divine nature in your spirit. Very, very happy to be with you today. We're moving on to section 2 of course 1 of Take Your Power Back, Ntr Fundamentals Spiritual Science. So I hope you are enjoying so far section 1, course 1. We're going to go ahead and move into another explanation, which is something that I think you need to understand before you actually get into the meat of Ntr Science. It's a very, very detailed science. It's not that detailed once you understand it, but I think these are the prerequisites for you to understanding this science so that when I'm talking about specific terms, you're not confused. So this is definitely a prep class for the future sections that are going to be coming. So hopefully you will get a lot out of it. Hopefully it's not a ho-hum thing for you. Hopefully you actually enjoy what I'm talking about. This is so that when you look at the other future sections, you're not confused. You are very clear about all the terms I'm talking about. Okay, so we'll get started. The first slide here is, of course, the title, Take Your Power Back, Ntr Fundamentals Spiritual Science. It's course 1, section 2. So we're going to go ahead into the course topic and the sections. The questions. There's going to be 12 questions, I believe, here. And this is, again, prep work for the actual classes. The following class, the third video will be the actual Ntr Science class I'll be teaching. And I'm going to do it by each Ntr. I'll probably do a presentation with all the general information about the Ntrs, and then I'll get into the detailed information about each one. Okay, so course topic is, in this video, soul contracts and iniquity, how iniquity, karma, and ancestral karma is inherited. So let's talk about that. I'm sure a lot of you have questions regarding that. What does that mean, iniquity? What does karma mean? What is it? It seems to be synonymously confusing. So hopefully I'll give you clarity on what that means. Question 1 is, what is a soul contract? A soul contract is an agreement that your soul, higher self, your Ka, made with God, source, the divine, before you entered into the earthly realm as a human incarnated soul. Okay, let's talk about that for a minute. The Ka in ancient Egypt refers to the higher self, which you talked about in section 1, course 1. And so that is the higher self that is connected to the universal Christed mind, energy of life, spirit of life. And you had an agreement with the divine because you're already a part of the divine before you embodied a physical form. And so that contract is something that you agreed to before entering this realm. There's a cost to living in this realm. We just aren't here just to play around like children. We're here to learn. Earth is a school. So we're also here to clear up karma, not just learn. I want to let you guys know now, I live in a place where there's a lot of air traffic. So there'll probably be airplanes. There'll be, as you can hear, there'll be helicopters. There may be traffic. There may even be police cars, because that's what they do around here. A lot going on. So try to ignore that. Please don't let it detract you from focusing on the information I'm giving here. And try to ground yourself and, hey, get a pen and a pad if you find this information enjoyable and you're serious about self-spiritual mastery. Okay, so we're clear on that. A soul contract is an agreement that your soul or higher self makes with God, source of divine, before you enter into the earthly realm as a human incarnated soul. Okay, so this is something that your higher self knows. You won't know, because when we enter this realm, we are completely oblivious to our soul contract. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Question 2, what does a soul contract contain? Each soul has a higher self. The higher self is the Ka. We just talked about that, which has a soul. The soul is directly connected to the spirit, okay, power and wisdom of God, source, the divine. So we are connected to the spirit the power and the wisdom of God's source, the divine. The spirit of God, source the divine, gives us life. The power of God, source the divine, allows us to do things that other manifested creatures cannot do, which we call animals. And wisdom, the wisdom of God, is where we are connected to our higher self, the Ka, and we can do things like understand ancestral karma, understand our own experiences, understand why we went through certain things, understand why specific people have come into our life and what they were here to teach us. This is access to the third eye, which is divine wisdom, which is Tehuti, to measure. Okay, and the soul holds the Akashic records of your past and present self. Now, understanding the Akashic records will help you to understand what it is that you have to do in your lifetime. No one can tell you what your purpose is. You are the person that has to find out. That's the benefit of this beautiful experience of life. We get to find out about our soul. Our memories are erased, and then we come here not knowing anything about who we really are. And that's the wonderful thing about life. That's this discovery of finding out who we are as a spirit being. Okay. Also, our ancestors, their blood DNA is connected to us, which makes us inheritant, inheritant, inherited. Yeah, what's that? Inheritances. No, we are inherited. We inherit the DNA of our ancestors. Our ancestors have epigenetic cell memory that is transferred through us from generation to generation, from father and mother. Okay, when the child is born, it has DNA from the father and the mother, and so we are constantly carrying with us data of our ancestors in our cell memory, and that's what epigenetics is. And so the transference of Akashic record knowledge, it's in your DNA, but you have to go to God, source, the divine, to unlock it, to get the key. Okay, and that's what's going to help you understand about yourself and your bloodline, and what the God Source Divine is asking you to do, and what your family as a collective is asked to do, to transmute and to balance as far as what you owe the divine. Okay, your higher self is your Ka. We talked about that, which it will reveal to you what is contained in your soul contract. So the Ka and the Akashic records, as you can see, Ka is inside of Akashic. It's your connection to divine wisdom and your ability to tap into that wisdom. And that wisdom will be revealed to you. And that's what's contained in your soul contract. Now, you have many different team members, spiritual team members, that can help you with identifying your soul contract. You have angels, ancestors, ascended masters. You have elemental beings. We don't know the names, and we try our best to describe the powers that divine created to assist us on the other side. There is another government, a spiritual government, and that's the dimension that we all end up going into, the subjective realm, where the angelic beings are, the ancestors are, the ascended masters are, the angels are. That's where we'll be returning. We'll be in closer connection to them because we'll be in their dimension, the spirit realm. Okay, so they will help you as you continue to walk on your path. They will reveal themselves to you. And my personal opinion, your angelic support can be from any pantheon. I particularly have angelic support from, I have Ganesha, which is a Hindu god. I have Obatala from the East African Ifa religion. I also have Christian angelic forces that support me, and I have my ancestors. I have support from even Asiatic ancestors. Kuan Yin is one of my supporters. She watches over me. I even have from the Hindu, Kali Ma has revealed herself to me, and Archangel Michael, of course, from the Christian religion. So I've been given different angelic or ancestral or ascended master protection. They will reveal themselves to you when you are ready and your fear is gone and you've embraced the duality of spiritual and physical life. They'll reveal themselves to you. Okay, but you of course have to ask, and you have to be serious about your path of self mastery. So they'll let you know what's required each step. You will not be able to do everything in one whop. You'll have to take steps and follow the divine guidance step by step. Okay, and that's going to come from within you. It could come from downloads, meditation, prayer, a dream, even watching something in the 3D or viewing something in the 3D world that will show you that which way to go, or an ancestor that's trying to help you, or an ascended master, or an angelic force that's trying to help you. Okay, let's go to question 3. Question 3 is, why is God source the divine asking of us slash me to honor our slash my soul contract? Well, God source the divine is asking us to honor our soul contracts because it contains opportunities to transmute low frequency energies created through misalignments with divine will, universal law, and natural order. These infractions with God source the divine are created because of our own misalignments. I'm going to stop there. It could come from inherited family culture. It could come from social pressure, and we succumb to social conditioning. It could come from attaching yourself to someone sexually. You can also inherit karma from people. I don't think I covered that here. That's another section, sexually transferred karma. And so that's really deep. I'll probably do that after I finish the whole Ntr series. So anyway, these infractions, which are misalignments with the divine, okay, are created because of our own misalignments, meaning when we're not aware of divine will, we are susceptible to fall for whatever information is being given to us, okay? That's why in the King James Version Bible, it says, know the truth and the truth will set you free. If you don't know, then you can be manipulated, okay? So because of our unwillingness to submit to the divine plan, either because we don't seek it or we don't know it, we end up having infractions, okay? So we also have the opportunity to honor our ancestors by healing ancestral trauma. Know that your ancestors are a part of your angelic team. When you align with divine will, basically following the inner spiritual guidance, okay, of the highest divine order from within your own spiritual self, okay, which usually comes through your awareness or your conscious expansion or your third eye. You can also read information through vibration. That's another topic. I'm not going to talk about that. Ancestral trauma is something that will repeat if someone in the bloodline does not stop it. Okay, so it can be a repetitive, destructive cycle that continues from one generation after another. That's why I'm here, because I am here, created in this dimension, to teach about this, so that awareness can happen and that people can start making intelligent decisions regarding eternity and the bloodline of their ancestors and their children themselves, their own children. Okay, because the inheritance doesn't just stop in the physical realm, it continues into the spiritual and is transferred through epigenetic cell memory. But we'll talk about that another time. Hopefully, you got the gist of what I'm saying. So, generally, what it means is that we have contracts that are transferred through our own past lives. If we had an incarnation prior to this one, our ancestors that were living that misaligned with the divine, and someone we may have an intimate relationship, we can inherit karma from these things. And so it's a very deep study, but generally speaking, that's how we inherit. We inherit karma, and we end up having to deal with these things in our soul contract. So these are the things that comprise or consist of the soul contract. It's going to be different for each person. Question number 4. What does honoring the soul contract do and prevent? Honoring our soul contracts prevents our children and ourselves, while we're in this earthly body, from inheriting harsh karma. During our lifetime here on earth, honoring our soul contract also attracts favor, protection, and blessings from God, source the divine, into our lives and the lives of our children. Something I want to say is, when we're dealing with clearing up our ancestral karma, our own soul contracts, inherited karma from maybe a relationship we were in, which was attached to the person and their karma, their family karma, their individual karma, understand this: you won't see the benefits of doing the shadow work. You'll learn about that later, until later on, much later, after you've been walking the path for a while of honoring the divine within yourself. It's going to take time. If you don't have the patience, then you can just go ahead and throw the blessings of your children away. I'm not trying to be harsh, but I'm very honest. I'm very adamant about what I know about spirit. I don't play it because it's not a plaything. Um, if you don't consider what I'm saying, then your children will inherit whatever karmic contracts you did not complete with the divine. And this is why I'm here. I want you to know how important it is for you to love yourself, because loving yourself is loving the divine. And we're going to get into that later. But the karma comes from not knowing ourselves. And if we don't know ourselves, we can't love ourselves. And if we don't know ourselves, we can't offer the true person that we are to someone else. And if we don't know ourselves, we can't love ourselves. Therefore, we can't love another person. So loving self, and knowing self is knowing God. Excuse me. So let's go ahead and continue in this presentation. So to honor your soul, it's a lifetime thing. It's not something you do today, like going to church. It's a way of life. It's a positioning of the soul and the consciousness to be in awareness of self from within. And then you understand that what is inside of you will be projected outside of you, just like what is above us is a reflection of what is below. Okay, because the macrocosm is the external universe, and we are a microcosm, the internal universe. And the war that's going on in the external universe, which we cannot see with the naked eye, is going on in the internal universe, which is our soul, body, mind, and spirit. We'll get into that later also. But in order for you to fight this war, which is not a tangible war, it's not something you can fight with guns or fists. It is a war of the mind, the will, the heart, and the emotions. That's why I believe the ancestors left this science on the walls of Egypt. Honoring our soul contracts increases the probability of having a more abundant, happy, and favorable life in the future by honoring God, Source, the divine. Okay? When we honor the little God within us, we honor God, Source, the divine, and we are favored in our earthly lives. When we do this, honoring our soul contracts also changes the vibration of the planet, making it a more pleasant place to live vibrationally. Have you guys ever walked into a place and felt someone's energy and just thought, oh my God, this person has the most beautiful energy in the world? You just felt so uplifted. And then on the other hand, have you ever been around a person and you just feel weighed down and tired? I mean, like completely exhausted. It's because of the vibration. And I will talk about later on, and later, I guess another time, how the vibration is not only affected by our thoughts and our cell DNA, which is transferred memory of our ancestors through our parents and into us, which will happen to our children. Um, Also, entity attachment is another way that the Akashic records can get muddied and imbalanced and defiled. And those come from I would like to say, conscious forms of energy that are malevolent. We'll get into that later. Let's go to question 5. Question number 5: how is karma inherited and transferred to the next generation and to our children? Karma is transferred through energy transference through our spiritual and genetic DNA. We are all connected to God, Source, the divine, the universe, and our loved ones that have passed over. We inherit our karma from our ancestors. We are here to transmute the negative karma that your ancestors accumulated in their past life, including your own. When you change yourself, you change the vibration and you transmute the energy that was negative of your ancestors into positive by you aligning with the divine. That goes to your ancestors too. It clears up their record. It clears up your ancestral record. And God's Source, the divine, says, okay, this bloodline has cleared up their karma with me. It's time to rain blessings upon this family. They've honored the soul that I've given them. They honor and are grateful for the manifestation I have made them as, which is a reflection of us Okay, universe, and then potential of all universe, Father, Mother, God, potential of all things, Father, Mother, God. Let's bless them because they are in alignment with who they are, what they are, how they're made, why they're here, and what they're here to do. And so this is how we inherit karma. Karma can be good or bad. Okay. So in order for our children to be guaranteed a spiritual inheritance of blessing, we have to transform our consciousness, our will, our desires, our wants, our needs, and our actions. And the love frequency within us. We'll get into that also. So we inherit our karma from our ancestors, okay? And we're here to transmute the energy through changing our lives. Let's go to the next slide. Question number 6. How is energy transference inherited from our ancestors' karma? Okay, energy never dies, it has to move. Okay, it never dies, it has to move. It cannot stay stagnant, it must transfer and transform. It has to move, it has to transfer, and it can be transformed. But that is a choice, okay, at least on this dimension. God's source, the divine, can transform the energy to whatever it wants to a certain degree, but it's allowed us to have part and parcel of its being. So we very much affect what's going on in the universe and inside of our earthly realm as well as within us. So we are the ones that have to do the alchemy. We hold and use energy in our being. We live off of energy. We need it from the earth and from our solar system to survive. We have a responsibility to use it intelligently and wisely. Okay, energy must be grounded to work properly. There must be a balance between positive and negative forces for the life force to remain active and sustainable. Energy is life force. Life force is our vitality. It is our health. Um, this is just coming to me right now. I can't get into this. Like I said, this thing goes on and on and on and on. Um, Before we get into question 7, what do you think happens when you have intimacy with another person? I'm speaking of sexual. Even a conversation can transmute your energy from high to low or low to high. Now, how much more can a intimate union with a person that you don't understand, that you don't know what is inside of their soul DNA, what's inside of their epigenetic cell memory, what's inside of their Akashic records or Akashic files, can you, inherit without knowing? This is very important in creating spiritual generational wealth. Okay, I'm talking of spiritual generational wealth. We'll get into that later, but I just wanted to mention that. Think very carefully about who you are intimate with, because you do inherit and get the transfer through sexual union of the person and their family's ancestral karma. Okay, and you will have to basically connect to all the divine powers, the Ntr, your ancestors, ascended masters, angels, to break the energetic soul tie that's wrapped the energy, the quarks and the hadrons together, and made you guys become connected. Now you are getting a transfer of something that doesn't even belong to you. But that's another subject for another day. Let's talk about this question number 7. Why should I have to pay for my family members' iniquity? Why do I owe them? Why do I owe for them? I don't owe the world or anyone anything. Okay. You don't necessarily have to pay back, meaning I have to pay it. You have to pay the karma back. What you have to do is you have to transmute your energy. What your ancestors owe is already in your Akashic files. Okay, the divine knows what needs to change first. This is where your prayer, your meditation, your peace of mind, your inner connection to self, the higher self, the Ka, your Christed universal mind, will guide you into knowing what it is you need to do next. It's going to be different for everybody. We're not McDonald's Happy Meals. We're all unique. We all have unique families, unique bloodlines, unique genetics. Our situations are unique. It can never be a Happy Meal situation, ever, because we have we have completely different templates, even though it's comprised of the same circumference of energies as far as positive and negative polarities of God's self source, the divine. So you have to deal with your ancestral karma. It's already going to be in your Akashic files. You need the divine universal Christed mind to be able to tap into that. That's your third eye wisdom, the eye of Ra. That was what the ancient Egyptians called the eye of Ra. So it doesn't matter if you should or if you shouldn't. Okay, nor is it about what you think you owe or what you do not think that you owe God, source, the divine. It's not even about your emotions. If you're getting emotional about this lets me know you are not in a balanced state. You're in an imbalanced state. If you're in an imbalanced state, that means you are not honoring the God within yourself. It's not about me. It's about you. You, when you're feeling peace, that means that God, source, the divine is saying, yes, we feel good. I feel good. Self feels good. Yes, this is me. This is I. This is I and I self, like Bob Marley used to talk about. I talk with I and I self. That's talking about the third eye to the I within I myself, meaning my third eye vision is looking at myself, my earthly self and my higher self. I see myself clearly. I'm one with the divine. That's what that means. Okay? It's the way the universal and natural order is made to be in balance. That is the way the universe sustains everything. Without balance, that's when chaos and destruction happens. So if we don't embody balance, we cannot expect it from the universal powers, because that is what sustains us. We can't expect it from nature, and we cannot separate that we are an extension of the universe. We are a microcosm of the macrocosm. There is no separating it. We will affect the universe, and the universe will affect us, and the universe controls nature. So we have to understand more about ourselves and how we're connected to nature and the universe in order to understand what's required and why it's necessary to create this state of peace and of love. Okay. And I'm speaking of self love. Okay. Loving yourself and knowing what's good for you and what's not for you, and saying, hey, I deserve the best. And not meaning I deserve the best because I'm a brat or I'm immature, but because I have mastered myself. I know myself. I know my higher self, my lower self. I know the aspects of myself. I know my ancestors' trauma. I know my own personal trauma that I've overcome. I know the things that I'm prone to do that are not healthy for me. I know the things that are not healthy for me. I know what I should stay away from. And I'm going to give myself that higher divine self love because I deserve it. Because I'm made in the image of and likeness of God, source, the divine, the universe. And I deserve to live as the little extension of God that I am. And so I'm going to honor myself by allowing Father, Mother, God, source, the divine, the universe to guide me into the highest version of myself, loving myself the best that I can in this incarnation, and also giving my children inheritances of spiritual blessings and protection by my alignment with the divine. Okay. So honoring our soul contracts gives us an opportunity to clear up our own past life karma, ancestral karma, and even karma our living parents or family members may owe God, source, the divine, but they don't want to pay it, okay, for the misalignments with divine will and order in any lifetime. You see, this is why divine God, source, the universe wants us to become one with it, because some people in our family are not going to go with us down the path of self mastery. Some of them are going to continue on the path of darkness, but that's what we have. We have something called will, which is heteru in the ancient Egyptian. It's sphere 7. It's choice. You can choose to follow the light. You can choose to follow the darkness. But the thing is, many people that are following darkness, they're only following it because of peer pressure and because they're culture addicted, and they do whatever everyone else is doing, and they're not loving their soul. Well, I'm here to help you to change that, to tell you that it's okay to love yourself, because no one's going to be there when it comes to your judgment as far as what happens to your soul in the next dimension. It's very important that you honor your ancestors and the divine and your higher self and your children above culture. Okay, because culture, they're there for fun and they're fair weather friends. But when it comes to your soul, you need to take ownership of your soul and honor the God within self and honor your ancestors and bless your children. Okay. All right. So let's move on to the next slide. Question number 8. How do I clear up this karma? We are all one in the spiritual universe. We are units in a larger system. Souls extended from one large soul, God, source, the divine. The universe is our mainframe, our motherboard. It is the supreme system that holds everything and everyone together. And science itself, gravity, I mean, everything scientists know about, okay? We when we clear up karma, we increase the vitality of ourselves, our universe, and our planet, ourselves. It's just we just it's like an electrical transfer of power, okay, that happens to us. When we clear up karma, we increase the vitality of ourselves by aligning with the divine order. The whole system benefits, okay, meaning the macrocosm and the microcosm, which is our bodies, okay, the universe and our bodies within ourselves, including our planet, our children, and the universe as a whole. We are one with the universe, and the universe is one with us. If we can understand that and to start to understand the mechanics of the universe, the mechanics of nature, we will start to understand why the requirements are necessary, why we have to fulfill the requirements. We have to do it because they sustain us. We're sustained by nature and the universe. We have to make changes or we are basically causing our own destruction. Okay? Nothing and no one is going to magically appear and clean up our karma. We have to do it ourselves. Whatever affects the one affects the whole. We are all in one universal system that cannot be disconnected. Bloodline DNA brings problems in the system closer to home, but the problems affect us all. Spiritual, physical, and mental illnesses must be healed to bring in balance to earthly living in order for us spirits slash souls in human form to be sustained by our universe and nature. This is done through right thought, intention, and action. Right action is cultivated by connecting to the universal Christ in mind, okay? Your third eye, okay? And submitting to its guidance. The universal Christ in mind will lead us into the actions we need to take to clear up our own personal karma or the unpaid karma of our ancestors to God, source, the divine. What is asked will be different for each person. The work to be done is called shadow work. It's not because you're in a light and it's evening and you're standing in the right type of position so that the shadow of your body can be seen against the wall of a back alley. That's not what I'm saying. It's talking about the shadow self, the hidden self, the self that we don't intentionally hide, but it's there. It's the programming, it's the subconscious programming, okay, that we don't understand. This is what this science is all about. It's about digging deep within ourselves to understand ourselves. And we do that by understanding first our ancestors and then the people that have raised us, whether they are your biological parents or not, because environment can also create inherited karma. We are all one in the spiritual universe. We are units in a larger system, okay? We already read this. Souls extend from one large soul, God, source, the divine. So understand that as we clear up our own individual lives, we clear up the energetic vibration and frequency of the universe, and it in turn affects what kind of energy is coming back to us. Okay? So now let's talk about iniquity. What is iniquity? Spiritual inequity, infractions towards divine law and order. Looks like question 9 is next. How is iniquity inequity with God's source, the divine, created? Iniquity is created when we ignore our inner spiritual guidance. It is inherited karma from our past lives, present lives, and our ancestors, along with our living parents. This karma can bring us blessings or challenges in our lives as a result of transferred genetic or spiritual DNA. Iniquity is an injustice towards God, source, the divine, and an inequity to divine law and order that must be paid during a living person's in the bloodline during their earthly lifetime. The reason why this cannot be changed, you cannot clear up iniquity on the spirit side, is because once you get to the spirit dimension, subjective realm, you are in the condition that you created in the earthly realm. You will vibrate to a place. Okay, this universe is expansive. We have no idea what it is. The veil is covering our eyes. We don't know. We will never know till we jump into eternity exactly what is there and what places we can go. I would encourage some of you that are interested, you can read the Bhagavad Gita. They talk about different worlds and the different places that we can ascend to or descend to. So if you're interested in that, I encourage you to read the Bhagavad Gita as it is by Swami Prabhupada Bhaktivedanta. Okay, going back to question 9 regarding iniquity. When there is a violation, which is that's what constitutes an iniquity of universal law on a continuous basis. Okay, in the life of an earthly being, a person that is a spirit living in earthly form, injustices are experienced as a result of that infraction. That's a violation of universal law, which is coming basically as like challenges, negative or bad karma, or just a very burdensome life, things always happening that don't seem to work out well. And it can happen through connecting to a person sexually. It can happen through inheriting epigenetic DNA. It can be a part of your family culture, social culture. There are many different ways that you can inherit karma. But definitely, you're already coming here as a baby with the Akashic file of your ancestors' DNA. This is what it means. We're born in sin. Like the Akashic files of our forefathers' misalignments with the divine is still in our blood DNA. It doesn't mean that we have sinned, but we will as a result of that being a part of our programming. Okay. It's in our blood. It's in our cell memory. It's going to happen. Okay, so this is why we want to deal with our consciousness and align our consciousness with the divine will, law, and order by tapping into God, source, spirit, the divine, meditation, using that third eye to call in revelation, divine guidance, and seeking the divine. When you pray, this is why you close your eyes so that you can look in your inner spirit, because this world is the physical world with the two physical eyes in the head are very deceitful. Okay? Vibrations that we send out to the universe are created through our thoughts, actions, and deeds. What we do, think, act on, and say continuously will return to us in the form of an experience. The universe will always send back to us an experience that is a reflection of whatever thoughts, actions, and deeds we are holding consistently. One thing I really love about God, Source, of Divine, the way they made the universe is that it does not deliver quickly. It takes time. But if you continuously, repetitively, repeat over and over and over, this is like you're sending a signal. This is what I want. This is what I want. This is what I want. Even if you don't want it. Okay, if you're upset, you're upset, you're upset, I'm angry, you're going to bring that back. If you're happy, you're happy, you're happy, you're happy, you're going to bring that happy energy back. If you're ecstatic, you're going to bring more ecstatic energy. If you are feeling humorous, you're going to bring more of that. If you're feeling abundant, which is a sign of giving, when you give, that means you believe that you are abundant and you know divine will replace what you have given away. So that is also a law of sowing and reaping. So it is the law of sowing and reaping spawned from the law of cause and effect. So everything we think, do, say, meditate on, and desire and act on, they turn into a frequency, and it's a communication with the divine. And we send to the divine what we want by our frequency. That's how we ask for what we want, even if we don't want it. And so what we embody is very, very important. And so the highest energy we can embody is the energy of divine love. And it starts with loving yourself. That's why loving yourself is so important. You have to undo what your whoever may have said something about you that you don't like, treated you in a way that you didn't deserve. You've got to transmute that and realize that that experience was only for your awareness, and that the people that hurt you unfortunately did not do their shadow work, and they were basically projecting their unhealed issues onto you, which a lot of people call narcissism, where they want to supply themselves with fuel of easing their pain through causing pain to another. And that is because of an entity attachment, which I believe is like a demonic entity. We can get into that later. Call it what you want, thought form. It's still alive, it's thinking, and it has the ability to embody a person and control them. So you can call it whatever you want to. The divine in the universe shaping the experience as we will have existence in our earthly realm. So when we hold and embody a particular energy for a continuous amount of time, we're going to attract to us whatever it is that we are holding for a long period of time. Okay? Thank God for the grace of his goodness. Thank God for the slow process of birth. That's why it takes 9 months for a child to be born. Thank the universal mother that it takes time for things to manifest. But please try to remain aware of what you are doing, thinking, saying, repeating, wanting, because you are going to bring not only an inherited karma on yourself, hopefully good, you will bring it to your children too. Okay. And usually when we call in a karma, especially when it's not a positive one, or we ask for something that's not in alignment with divine will and law, usually to break that, it's very difficult because we did it at our own admonition. It makes it even more difficult to break it because God will say, universe will say, hey, you asked for this. You sent the energy out to me. You opened your mouth and said, I want this. Now you have it and you don't want it. Okay, this is a scripture in the Bible says, King James Version Bible says, this is, you pray, but you pray amiss, like you don't know what you're asking for. Just like the men in the Bible that said, there was some woman, I think, or a man, someone, a parent was around the Christ in the Bible and said, I want my sons to be next to you in glory. And he said, you do not know what you ask. You do not know what you're asking for, because he was meant to die and suffer so that we can have an expanded consciousness, because there was no way to get this expanded consciousness until God brought his divine mind to earth, which I believe is the Christ. Okay. He formed himself in a body, but I don't believe he's a man. I believe he is a consciousness and the energy of life and the power of the life force. That's who I believe that Christ is, the Heru energy, the helical rising DNA power of the life force. I feel his spirit on me as I'm speaking. Thank you, Master. Okay, question 10. We've got two more after this. How do I change my vibration? How we live, think, and act daily affects our vibration. This creates a balance or an imbalance in our energy field, the energy field of God, source, the divine, and the supreme universal powers. Okay. I should have put the highest energy. Okay, no, this is true. The energy field of God, source, the divine, and the supreme universal powers is love. That's the highest frequency. Okay, if we do not emit the frequency of divine love, we are in misalignment with God, source, the divine. How do we get the frequency of divine love? Through self-love. Okay, self-love and self-mastery is loving God. Loving God is loving self. Okay, this is how God, source, the divine is able to read and know when we are in misalignment, what we are doing, how we are thinking, creating, and vibrating. The universe in turn will send back to us what we put out in the form of energy and frequency, and it'll manifest into an experience. Okay, family? Hopefully you understand that. Question number 11. How do I create peace, love, and balance in my life or in myself? Okay, we get what we give out. It is a part of karmic law. Whatever energy we are holding is the energy that we will attract to ourselves. We create peace and love and balance in our lives by studying ourselves first, which is God, source, the divine. I just want to interject something really quickly. It's not always the energy we're holding. It could be the person we're attached to and the energy they're holding. Okay, understand this. When I talk about self, understand there's one big self, which is God. We are little portions, like the fingers, the arms, the legs, the blood vessels. We are one big organ. This is why I talked about the creation being a unit. We all affect one another. Okay. And so you have to be aware, just like red blood cells are aware of the imbalance of white blood cells, what they can do, and then the body goes into a defense. Just because we're one doesn't mean that you don't have to defend yourself. You have to defend yourself. I mean, a leech would be good for to put on a person that has a snake bite. The leech would suck the poison out. Okay, but if a person does not have an issue with a snake biting them, but they have they're anemic and they actually don't have very strong blood, a leech sucking the blood out of them might put them in a coma. So this is why self mastery is very vital. This has to do with your mental body, your emotional body, spiritual body, physical body, vibrational body, ethereal body, crystalline grid, energetic body. You have to know self, yourself. You have to understand yourself. Don't wait for your doctor, your teacher, your professor. You study yourself. It's your soul, your life, your body, your mind, your spirit, your incarnation. And you have to leave an inheritance to your children. The only inheritance is not just material goods. It's not just material wealth. The biggest blessing you can give your children is a spiritual blessing. And that is your gift from the divine, your relationship with the divine, the blessing that is on you to be transferred to your children. This is the best and highest gift that you can give your children. It's love. And you cannot give them what you don't have. If you don't have self-love, you cannot give them any love because you have something that's distorted. It's not true divine love, which is the highest frequency. Okay? The love of God, source of the divine, is the highest frequency. It is powerful. It is aware. It is aligned. It is divinely aligned with divine wisdom, divine power, abundance. Everything that's needed is right there in the energetic field of that vibration. And so you need to embody that energy so that it's not a question to the divine of who should be blessed around you. Okay. So you have to be careful about who you allow yourself to be around. And if you are around people that are toxic, pray to the divine and ask them to help you get the strength to get out of it. And do not stop, even if it goes to the end of your life, because there's no running from spirit world. One day we'll all transition. Okay, you can either fight or you can flee, but why flee? Fight because you have the power within yourself to fight the darkness within yourself because you attract what's inside of you. Okay, so understand that your true self is God. Okay, I'm going to read this again. We get what we give out in frequency. It's a part of karmic law. Whatever energy we are holding, it's the energy that we will attract to ourselves. If we create peace and love inside of ourselves and balance in that highest vibration of love, divine love, in our lives, in ourselves, by studying ourselves first, which is God, source, the divine. The true self is the essence of God, source, the divine. Okay. So when you study yourself, you're studying God. You're studying God, the true self. Self is studying divine will, divine law, and divine order. This makes up the will of God, which is the law of God. The greatest of these laws are love, okay, which is self-love. It's the highest form of love. When you love self, you love God. When you love God, you love yourself. Your true self is God in a smaller portion of its self. Okay, the refusal of seeking peace and creating balance in our lives or in self is iniquity, inequity to the divine spirit that gives us life. According to God's source, the divine, iniquity is not knowing and not honoring the way in which you were made. You are a spirit being. And I'll go back to the KJV because that's what I started in. God is a spirit, and those that worship God in spirit and in truth. Okay, let's talk about the Ka. There's no questions here, as far as I believe. I'm not quite sure. I think we have one question here. The Ka is the higher self. We talked about that in course 1, section 1, the divine word of God and the life force. Okay, the Ka would be Osir, the all-seer. Crown 1, we'll talk about, Spear 1, which is at the top of the head, the crown chakra. We'll talk about that in the next video. The divine word, which is the throat chakra. Let me go back again. The Ka, which is the higher self, and that is the expanse knowledge of the universe, the Christ in mind. Okay, it's able to open up and receive from the universe. The divine word, which is the throat chakra, Capricorn energy. Also, the energy of the Ka is Osir, Alseer, Aquarian energy. Okay. Although it's the water bearer, it is connected to divine wisdom. And they say that in water is intelligence. So Aquarian energy embodies the masculine energy of the potential of life being inside of the waters and the water itself being the feminine element. I believe that's like the union or the intimacy of the Father, Mother, God, the divine. Okay, and so the higher self is the balance of the masculine, the feminine, the potential of all things that ever were and can be, and the feminine aspect of giving birth eternally. The divine word of God connects us to the heart chakra. That connects us to, the throat chakra, which connects us to Capricorn energy. In the beginning was the word was God, word was with God. Word came down, dwelt among men, became flesh. So it all started with the word sound, okay? Sound and vibration. So when we speak words, we should be cognizant of the fact that God created with words. And so we have to be aware of our words. And the more we spend time in learning who we are as God within self, then we will start to understand this is the way I should operate. This is the way I should not. These are the things I should speak. These are the things I should not speak. We have to be careful about what we surround ourselves with because everything is vibration and energy. Energy has to transfer. And so who you keep around you, what you listen to, what you're around is extremely important because it's going to affect your what? Your Ka, your Akashic records and your mind, your third eye. Okay. your consciousness. And your consciousness is connected to your Akashic records. Ka is in the middle of that. And so the divine word of God is not just what you speak, but it's also what you're listening to. And it's also what you are interpreting. So we have to be very careful about what we allow inside of our vibrational body, what we allow ourselves to watch, what we allow ourselves to say, to listen to. I'm not saying don't listen to things that are opposite of light. You do need to understand the darkness. There will be a time where you need to understand darkness. You will need to watch it. You may even have to embody it for a purpose that is higher than the evident mind can see. But knowing what is happening on a collective level, on an expansive level in the world, there is a higher calling for balance in the light, because the darkness it's imbalanced too many things, and with that imbalance, we are taking a very high risk in not being sustained. And so we need more people to operate in the light, okay, which is self-awareness, okay, spiritual evolutionary levels and frequencies of becoming aware of the God within yourself. Okay, when you do that, you will be invigorated, your life force will be ignited, and Father, Mother God will light you up with the powers of the celestial bodies, and you will be in connection with the divine powers of nature, the Ntr of ancient Egypt, which is what I am doing this whole series about, which is the nature of God within you. Okay, Ntr means God in ancient Egyptian terminology. So the last question we have is, how do I create a high frequency love energy within myself? This is kind of long. I should have made this into 2 slides. I'll read this for you. I know you're probably going to have a problem reading this because it's going to be in a YouTube format. So listen closely. To create a high frequency love vibration within yourself, you must heal all of your past trauma, create a devotional lifestyle with God, Source Divine, the universe, and look for your answers from within, guidance and wisdom, all from within yourself. You must be willing to forgive yourself and others for past infractions with divine will and law. In this lifetime, you got to forgive. And if you are angry because somebody's done some just heinous, crazy things, some things are so horrible that it's just very difficult to forgive. But you have to ask for the power to forgive. Sometimes you don't have it in you to forgive. This is where you go to God, Source the Divine. You say, look, Allah, Yah, Yahweh, Jehovah, God, Source the Divine, Ola Damar, whoever you call God, I can't forgive this. I can't forgive this. I cannot forgive this. Tell them that. Wrestle with God. Wrestle with Spirit. Tell them, I cannot forgive this. No, I just can't. You have to give me the power to forgive this. I can't. Give me the power to release this. I don't want this in my vibration. I don't want this on my mind. I don't want this in my heart. I don't want this taking up space in my spiritual consciousness, in my spiritual DNA. I don't want this in my files. I don't want this in my Akashic files. Help me transmute this energy. I can't do it on my own. Help me. You have to do it. I promise you, if you yell and scream at the divine, God, Source divine, God is not going to be upset with you. I like to call God Yah, Yahweh, Jehovah, Yahweh. That's my personal, comfortable name that I like to call God. But I will call God Olodumare. I will call God Allah. I will call God Jehovah. That's just what I choose. You choose whatever name you feel comfortable calling God. God, Source, and Divine will let you know what they want you to call them or not. It's personal. The relationship with God is personal. There's no right or wrong as far as people finding a word that finds the resonance within them that feels like God within self. I can't tell you. I just know that we have a supreme creator, and it's formed itself as an expression of humanity in masculine and feminine form. That's what I do know. Okay? You must trust and know that you are not your experiences, and you must also trust that the God within you is greater, stronger, more real, and more powerful than any negative experience you may have had or will have in this incarnation. You must live future forward focused, I'm going to say it again. You must live future forward focused, and realign yourself when you are tempted to look behind you. There's nothing behind you but things to study, learn, and understand. That's all. You cannot go back and redo it. It's already in the past. All we have is today, which is the gift, and tomorrow it's a mystery. Okay. And then in the future, tomorrow's mystery, and even today will become history. Okay. Or your story. Okay. Your story. Wisdom and understanding are the only things that can be gained from looking at your past experience. So get the wisdom, knowledge, and the understanding so you can master and know self. Okay, once you know self, God will help you to alchemize your conscious energy to applicable action that will help to clear up the ancestral and inherited karma that you may have gotten, or karma you created on your own. Okay, or that you got from a transference of sexual energy with someone that had a really screwed up Akashic record family ancestral karma record. You could get transferred ancestral karmic energy from a person you're intimate with. This is why it's very important to start having sexual divine union. And this unconscious sexual union is the hugest. It's one of the quickest ways that the malevolent forces are destroying humanity. Sex without awareness is non-divine intimacy. You must be aware of the power inside of us. We are little gods, okay? Not heathens, okay? Hedonism is for animals that don't have a consciousness, that are not connected to the universe and made in the highest order the way that we are. We have the ability to speak and communicate and make changes in our world. Dogs can't do that. They're actually waiting on us to feed them. Cats, they pretty much are kind of self-sufficient, but when we have pets, we have to care for them. But we are made in the image and likeness of God, source the divine. So we are being called to be like that. But we have to understand the balance, what is required for the balance. And right now, things are not in balance. This is why we see all the destruction happening in our world. Okay? So I'm going to continue reading, and then we're going to close out. You must trust and know that you are not your experiences, that God within you is greater, stronger, more real, more powerful than any negative experience you may have had in this incarnation. You must live future forward focused and realign yourself when you are tempted to look behind you. Wisdom and understanding are the only things that can be gained from looking at your past experiences. You must know and believe that you are love at your highest essence. You must know that you can embody the frequency of love, see love and peace as your most valuable assets. This is what seeking the divine and the kingdom of God within you is. It is finding and making peace with all that you have experienced from within. 1 second, please. From within. You must protect yourself by allowing Father, Mother, God, Source, the universe to mother and father you into a healthier lifestyle. This is the will of God, Source, the divine. God, a loving God is loving self, which is the highest frequency of energy and vitality one can attain. So that is the conclusion of this section 2 of course 1, Ntr Fundamentals, Take Your Power Back. I hope that you have enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video. Please do take care.